My name is Greg Pierce, and been an organizer with the Industrial Areas Foundation for 50 years. I'm also a publisher and owner of Active Publications here in Chicago, which publishes books on faith and daily life. I have written some books of my own, the latest of which is The World as It Should Be, Living Authentically in the Here and Now Kingdom of God. My wife Kathy and I have three 30-something kids, and we belong to both a Catholic and a Protestant Episcopal congregation here in Chicago. So my daughter Abby, I want to tell you about her. She's 31 years old. She's a successful actor here in Chicago, and she is part of a program to send actors into Cook County Jail for women twice a month to work with the inmates there in basic theater skills, and so that the women who are incarcerated might be able to use them both inside the jail, but especially when they are released. So after about her third trip to Cook County Jail for women, Abby came back to me very upset. And she said, Dad, I'm so angry. These women, they are given the same lunch every single day of the year, every single day of the year. With one slice of bologna, one slice of American cheese, two slices of white bread, and an apple. And she said one of the worst things is that one of the women inmates offered her a bite of her sandwich. And Abby said, I just couldn't eat it, Dad, because the meat seemed rancid. What can I do to help change this? So without missing a beat, I said, the first thing you need to do, Abby, is join a church. And this was not what Abby expected me to say. I'm sure she was looking for some technique or strategy for community organizing that she could use. But instead, I told her that she couldn't do anything to help these women to get a decent lunch unless she had some power, and that she didn't have any power because she was an isolated, if well-meaning individual. What she needed, I insisted, was to join an organization of people who at least agreed in general with her and would help fight with her to get some changes in the jail that she so earnestly wanted. And so I suggested that she would find such people, one place at least, in a local church or some other institution. So Abby surprised me by taking me up on the challenge. She spent the last 4 weekends going through 4 church services, 2 Catholic and 2 Protestant. She didn't like 3 of them, but she found what she was looking for at All Saints Episcopal Church, literally around the corner from where she lived, although she didn't know about it until she started looking. She joined the church, became active in it, and helped get the church to join a community organization named United Power for Action and Justice here in Cook County. And the church is now working on issues related to changing the conditions of the women in Cook County Jail, including the incarceration of those suffering mental illness and addiction. So this is my theory of community organization for clergy and lay leaders of religious institutions of all faiths and denominations. In order to accomplish anything significant, you have to have power, which is simply the ability to get something done. You want something that you need, something that you need to get done, something that you care about. So you need power to do that. And in order to have enough power to accomplish these things you want to accomplish, you have to be organized into an organization that can be, first of all, recognized by and negotiated with other people and other entities that have power, whether it's government or corporations, unions, the media, whatever it is. And so hence Abby had to join All Saints Episcopal Church. And All Saints Episcopal Church had to join United Power for Action and Justice if they wanted to get something done. So here's how I talk about community organizing to clergy and lay leaders of various religious institutions of all different faiths. First of all, I try to get them to agree with me that it's a mess out there in the world. And I hardly ever, and certainly not recently, have had anyone of goodwill argue with me very much about this. It is a mess out there. It's, and I'm not going to define it anymore, and I'm not going to argue with you about it. It's a mess out there. But here's the thing. Congregations have to respond to that mess. And they do so in 2 major ways. One way that for clergy and lay leaders is to encourage their members to get involved in politics, both electoral politics, which is running for office, working for candidates, voting, etc. And also protest politics, demonstrations, marches, petitions, resolutions, boycotts, etc. I always say that politics is an important response to the mess. We need good politicians, and we need good people involved in civic affairs, but it is not enough, and it's also not for everyone. So we need to see in our current political climate that politics alone will not solve everything. It might not even be able to get those women in jail a decent lunch. The other major way that religious and other institutions of goodwill respond to the mess is what I call Good Samaritanism. Now, more and more clergy and lay leaders are caught up in the never-ending and at times spinning out of control demand for their time and resources to help heal the wounds and meet the needs of people who are being hurt by unjust systems. Whether the disasters are natural, hurricanes, floods, earthquakes, tsunamis, or human-made. People put in cages along the border, people living in substandard housing, people being arrested and thrown in prison because they're having a mental health issue. So the congregations are asked to meet the needs of these people, and they need, so we need good Samaritans. They need to be good Samaritans. Well, I'm not arguing against good Samaritans, believe me. Some of my best friends are good Samaritans. But we need people like them that are willing to help pick people out of a ditch, take them to a safe place, pay for their care, and then check up on them later. But it must have occurred to the original Good Samaritan after he, she, they helped the 10th or 100th or 1,000th person who had been beset by robbers, that what was really needed was to form an organization to fight for a safer road from Jerusalem to Jericho. So, for example, Abby does not want to make lunch every day for the women in Cook County Jail. Nor should All Saints Episcopal Church make lunches every day. Nor should all the churches make lunch every day. We're already spending $100 a day for food for the women in Cook County Jail for women. It's just not being used correctly. What they need to do is make sure that that allocation from public funds for their food by the Cook County Sheriff's Office is used wisely, consistently, and, dare I say this, humanely. So there is a third way, then, to respond to the mess. It is a way that has been developed over the last 75 years by the Industrial Areas Foundation, known as the IAF, with whom I've been involved since I graduated from seminary college back in 1970. I've been with them both as an organizer and a leader, and here are several elements of the IAF approach. First, the IAF is institutionally based. Abby, for example, cannot join United Power for Action and Justice as an individual. All Saints Episcopal Church can join as a member institution. Why is this important? It is because power comes from the organized people and organized money, and institutions have both. They also have a mission, a history, a staff, a culture, and a way of renewing themselves. They also have members who cut across the ideological spectrum and have learned, this is important, have learned to compromise with one another so that they can move forward and do things. Second, the IAF is built on relational power. So this is different from the usual kind of power that people talk about when they think about government power or authoritarian power or any other kind of power. Relational power is a different kind of power, and and the IAF has perfected the art and discipline of developing that power through a thing we call one-to-one relational meetings. This is the source of both the IAF's strength in terms of winning on issues and its ability to help member institutions grow and prosper. Third, the IAF uses the opposite approach of most community organizing groups, which start with a particular problem or strategy and then recruit those who agree with them. Everybody against this, come over here. Everybody for this, come over there. The IAF doesn't do it that way. The IAF starts with one-to-one in relational meetings, trying to develop relationships that are built on mutual self-interest. And then it builds on those relationships to go into action on issues that the organization decides, first of all, it should do and can actually do something about with the power that it has. Third, the IAF, or what am I, 1, 2, 3, 4. Fourth, the IAF takes a long view. The iron rule of the IAF is never do for others what they can do for themselves, which means that it is a focused approach on the development of leaders from the member institutions, teaching them the skills they need to help clean up the mess. So most of the 60 or more IAF organizations around the US and around the world have been in existence for 10 years or more now. Some as many as 50 years. This allows them to be effective before, during, and after elections, and changes in government, business, labor, not-for-profit organizations, media, the academia, they all come and go. It's the organizations based on institutions that can remain and be there for a long time. The next thing is the IAF thinks big. It doesn't build houses, for example, it reclaims communities. It doesn't go after the NRA, it goes after the gun manufacturers. It doesn't help people with mental illness or addiction when they get out of jail, it prevents them from being incarcerated in the first place. The IAF could do this because it is institutionally based, because it is built on relational power, because it takes the long view, because it trains its leaders, because it helps build its member institutions, and because it breaks problems down into issues that you can do something about with the power you have at the time that you're trying to do something about it. So we don't tilt at windmills. We lose our fair share, but we win our fair share also. So here are some things that you can do, whether you're a student in a seminary or a clergy person or a lay person in a congregation. First of all, you can join one of the local IAF organizations, but only through your local congregation. That's an important difference. If your local congregation doesn't belong to an IAF organization, join one or start one. This will prevent your efforts from becoming just another academic exercise. Second, read. Now, there's a lot of good books to read. I have a lot of them right behind me that I still have to read. But I also want people to read some non-academic books that are written by organizers or about organizing. And I publish several of them through my publishing house, Active Publications, and I recommend especially the following. I have them right here, and we're going to show them on the screen later, but one real important one by Mike Geekin, People's Institutions in Decline, Causes, Consequences, and Cures. A book by a former Bishop of Manhattan during the World Trade Center disaster. Baptized for This Moment, Recovering Grace All Around Us by Stephen Paul Bowman. Very active in one of my first IAF organizations in Queens, New York. Also, we have a whole series of these little booklets. The Power of Relational Organizing, of Relational Action by Ed Chambers, former head of the IAF. Effective Organizing for Congregational Renewal by Mike Geekin. Reflecting with Scripture on Community Organizing by Reverend Jeff Crable. So that's another thing you can do is read and get other people to read. Third, you can watch. Watch a good movie. A lot of movies are about organizing. My favorite movie about organizing is One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Because I think it's about an organizer who goes into an insane asylum, which is a mess. And the key to the whole story is that everybody's there voluntarily. And just by agitating and leading people, he gets people to stand up for themselves, and eventually they close the whole place. But there's also a Martha Ray, about a woman, a labor woman in, I think it's South Carolina, or South somewhere, and she gets recruited by a union organizer and becomes a leader and stands up to the company that she's working for. There's also a classic movie called Harlan County, USA, that's about labor organizing. And you can attend an IAF training session. If you're a member of a member institution, you get to go for free. But if you're not, you have to pay for it. But you can go to the 3-day, you can go to the 5-day, you can go to the national training, and you can find out about that at the IAF website, metroiaf.org. And finally, my last idea for you is do an internship with an IAF organization. But here's the key thing. Do not think you're going to be help to us. You're going to be there to learn. And you will. Thank you.